The world today is very much a world of signposts. Signposts of all shapes and sizes and colours. They dot our streets and highways, for example, and tell us when to stop and when to go along this street and not to wait on that side, to halt as there's a major road ahead and not to turn right at that corner. They pinpoint the danger spots and accident areas. There are accident areas in other walks of life too. Although not signposted, that piece of cooked meat could be an accident area. It looks all right, it smells all right, and apparently there's nothing wrong with the taste. In other words, it's the kind of cooked meat that can be bought in hundreds of shops up and down the country. But for all that, it is an accident area, and a fairly serious one too. That cooked meat put the boy to bed with a dangerously high temperature, and the bouts of sickness, vomiting and diarrhea gave his mother and the doctor a worrying time of it for a day or two. A very worrying time indeed. Something in the meat gave the boy food poisoning. That something was a germ, and germs, invisible to the naked eye, are often highly dangerous. Part of the danger lies in the tremendous speed with which food poisoning microbes multiply. It takes only 20 minutes or so for one germ to become 2 by splitting in half, a further 20 minutes for 2 to become 4, 4 to become 8, and so on. This means that one germ can multiply and become 250,000 germs in 6 hours, or 7,000 million germs in 12 hours. Just as the number of road accidents can be cut down by strict observance of the highway code, so the number of harmful germs and the risk of food poisoning can be greatly reduced by following a food code. Since germs enter food mainly through people handling it, personal cleanliness is essential. And personal cleanliness means, among other things, clean hands. Every time you sit down to a meal, at home, in the school dining room, or in the factory canteen, you should wash your hands, and wash them thoroughly, for soap and water are the great enemies of harmful microbes. The safest place for germs is down the waste pipe. Washing your hands before handling food is even more necessary and important than washing them before eating it. Carelessness on the part of this canteen assistant, for example, could lead to dangerous consequences, for she helps to prepare meals daily for scores of workers in a big factory. Unless her hands are spotlessly clean, and remember it isn't possible to see germs with the naked eye, she can easily communicate the invisible microbes on her fingers to the food she is handling, and so be responsible, in all innocence, for an outbreak of food poisoning among the factory workers. Washing the hands also means brushing the nails thoroughly. Nails should be kept short. Long nails harbour dirt and are difficult to keep clean. Varnished nails should also be kept short and clean. Above all, hands must be thoroughly washed after visiting the lavatory. This is a point which can't be too frequently or too strongly stressed. Food poisoning germs are carried in the bowels and very easily transferred to fingers and hands. If, as may easily happen, you have a cut, a boil or other sore, make sure that it is covered by a proper dressing. A dirty dressing is both ugly and dangerous. Clean habits are as important as clean hands. When handling food, avoid coughing on it or sneezing on it or breathing on it. If you feel you must cough or have a sneeze, then place a handkerchief to your mouth and turn your head away. Never sneeze over food. Another golden rule is never to lick your fingers when handling food. If you do this, you may easily transfer germs from your lips to the food which you're preparing or serving. And don't, repeat don't, ever do this sort of thing. Use your mouth and breath for singing or whistling or playing a mouth organ, but never, repeat never, for blowing open a paper bag into which food will be put. In the restaurant kitchen, as in the shop, there are right and wrong ways of doing things. Fingers, for example, should never be used for arranging food on a plate. A napkin, on the other hand, offers a simple and effective form of protection from contamination by touch. On no account should hair or face be touched when food is being handled. Otherwise, there's a danger of germs being transferred from the head or face to the food which is being served. Dirty habits breed flies, and flies are notorious carriers of disease. So also are rats, which are recognized as among the most dangerous and destructive of man's enemies. Scrupulous cleanliness is the only sure defense against these vermin, and the one hope of ultimately keeping their numbers in check. There's little point in having clean hands and clean habits if aprons and overalls and dust coats are grubby. Clean aprons and overalls and dust coats not only look well, but please the customer. They're also hygienic and keep the food poison germs at bay. Nobody looks better than a chef in spotless cap and apron working in his kitchen. The same holds good for his female colleague. And what is more attractive than a waitress in freshly laundered bib and apron? In these days, when pre-cooked foods are becoming more and more popular, and when more and more shops are installing refrigerators in which to keep them, it is important to know that if cooked food is heated, then it must be reheated very thoroughly indeed. Liquid foods like soups and stews must be brought to boiling point. Solids like meat and pies must be made piping hot, far hotter than you could eat them without burning yourself. Home from school comes young Johnny Johnston, who doesn't know about reheating cooked foods. In any case, he is hungry and in a hurry. His mother is out, and waiting for the family tea will mean hanging about for at least an hour. So infuse the tea, reheat the stew, cut half a dozen slices of bread, throw in a couple of buns, and Bob's your uncle. But Bob is not your uncle, nor any other kind of relative. That pot of stew could be dangerous as a stick of dynamite in the hands of a child. Stop.
What, me?
Yes, you. Put that piece of meat back in the pot.
Have a heart. I'm hungry and I'm in a hurry.
At once. And have a look, young fellow, me lad, at what could happen to the meat in that pot when you reheat it. And by the way, never taste and put the spoon back in the pot. The temperature is that of a hot summer's day, when the rapid growth of bacteria takes place. The temperature is now at boiling point. This is sufficient heat, otherwise the food value will be destroyed. Only when the stew is sizzling hot can you be sure that Jimmy Germ and all his cronies have been killed off and that the reheated stew is safe to eat. Remember this point then, for it is all important. Reheated food is safe to eat only when it has been brought through the boil. In this clean, bright, up-to-date shop, everything is protected one way or another from contamination. Food should be displayed in glass cases, and assistants can help in a clean food campaign by using the proper implements for the job. Meat should be touched by hand as little as possible, both when being cut and when being wrapped up for the customer. All that is necessary for sound food hygiene is a little care, together with the intelligent use of the proper handling implements. Paper can be an excellent form of protection, and tongs are an effective means of handling cakes. In the home, all cooked and uncooked meat and fish should be kept covered. Place it in a larder or safe, or in a cool, well-ventilated room. In a shop, food should be stored overnight in a refrigerator. In this way it keeps fresh and wholesome and is protected from dust and flies and insects. Cleanliness of knives, forks and spoons and plates and cups is just as essential in the home as in a restaurant or canteen. Washing up should always be done as thoroughly as the facilities allow. Plenty of hot water, which should be changed frequently, and sufficient detergent should be used. The ideal method of drying dishes is to let them drain, but if dish towels are used, they must be changed frequently. Nowadays, hot water is available to almost anyone. One thing that must not be done is to mix dishes which animals have used with dishes the family have used, and to wash them in the same water. If you keep a cat or a dog in your home, you must have a separate bowl for it. If care in washing dishes at home is needed, much more care is required in restaurants and canteens. Properly run restaurants have two sinks. One is for washing and contains a detergent. The other is for rinsing and sterilizing in very hot water. Dishes are normally removed in a basket, not by hand. In restaurants and canteens, there's a variety of other utensils to be washed. Pots and pans and all the other kitchen equipment needed for preparing and serving food. In restaurants and canteen kitchens, as in shops, tables like this one should be cleaned every night with a sterilizing solution. Where a chopper has cut deep into the wood, only a sterilizer can seep in and kill any germs that may lurk there. It is the duty of everyone who prepares or serves or handles food in any way to follow a simple code of rules. By following these rules, every man and woman, boy and girl, will help to make life flow much more smoothly and much more safely.